You ever say something so dark, so deeply buried inside you, that the second the words leave your mouth, you know your entire life is over? Now, imagine saying that thing not to a friend, not to a therapist, but into a live microphone. Imagine the red light is on. Imagine the cameras are rolling. Imagine the whole world is about to hear what you just admitted. And by the time you realize your mistake, it is already too late. This is the story of a man who walked into a podcast studio as a guest and walked out in handcuffs. This is not fiction. This is not a movie script. This actually happened. And the recording of that exact moment has been played in courtrooms, analyzed by detectives, and listened to by millions of people who still cannot believe what they heard. Stick with me, because what you are about to learn will make your jaw drop. His name was Marcus Dunn, 42 years old, married, 2 kids, a nice house in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. The kind of guy you would pass in the grocery store and forget 5 seconds later. He worked a regular 9-to-5 job at a logistics company. He mowed his lawn every Saturday morning. He went to his kids' soccer games. On the surface, Marcus was painfully ordinary, but beneath that surface, there was something rotting, something he had kept hidden for over a decade. The podcast was called Midnight Confessions. It was a small independent show run by a guy named Leo Carter. Leo had been building his audience for years. His format was simple. He would bring on everyday people with interesting stories and have a relaxed, long-form conversation. No scripts, no big production. Just 2 people talking. Sometimes, the guests were former criminals. Sometimes, they were whistleblowers. Sometimes, they were just regular folks who had survived something extraordinary. Leo prided himself on creating a safe space where people felt comfortable opening up. He never imagined that safety would be used to confess to murder. Marcus reached out to Leo through an email. The subject line read, "I have a story that will blow your mind." Leo got dozens of emails like that every week. Most of them were nonsense. But something about Marcus's message stood out. It was short, confident. It simply said, "I was involved in something no one has ever solved. I'm ready to talk." Leo was intrigued. He did a quick background check. Marcus had no criminal record, not even a parking ticket. He looked clean. Leo figured maybe Marcus had witnessed something as a kid or had a brush with a dangerous person. He never expected the truth. They scheduled the recording for a Thursday evening. Marcus arrived at Leo's home studio looking calm. Almost too calm. He was wearing a plain gray hoodie and jeans. He shook Leo's hand firmly. He smiled. He made small talk about the weather and the drive over. Leo offered him water. Marcus declined. He said he just wanted to get started. Leo hit record. For the first 20 minutes, the conversation was normal. Boring, even. Marcus talked about his childhood, his job, his family. He spoke softly, choosing his words carefully. He came across as thoughtful and introspective. Leo asked him about the mysterious email. Marcus laughed. He said he was getting to it. He said the story was a long one, and he needed to set the stage first. Leo leaned back in his chair and let him talk. Then Marcus said something that made Leo's blood run cold. He said, "Have you ever done something you knew was wrong, but the longer you got away with it, the more it felt like it never even happened?" Leo's posture changed. He sat up straighter. He asked Marcus what he meant. Marcus looked directly into the camera, not at Leo, and said, "I'm talking about something I did 15 years ago. Something I've never told a living soul. Not my wife. Not my best friend. Nobody." The air in the room shifted. Leo later said it felt like all the oxygen had been sucked out. Marcus began to tell a story. He spoke in a low, steady voice. He described a night in the summer of 2009. He was in his late 20s, single, living in a small apartment on the outskirts of Columbus. He was drinking heavily back then. He was angry at the world, angry at his ex-girlfriend, angry at his dead-end job, angry at himself. That night, he went to a bar alone. He drank too much. He got into an argument with another man. The argument spilled out into the parking lot. Marcus said the man pushed him first. But Marcus didn't just push back, he snapped. He described following the man to his car. He described the man turning around at the last second, a look of confusion on his face, and then Marcus described bringing a tire iron down on the man's skull. Not once, not twice, multiple times, until the man stopped moving, until the parking lot was silent. Leo's face went pale. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Marcus kept talking, his voice eerily flat. He said he dragged the body behind a dumpster. He covered it with old cardboard boxes and garbage bags. He got into his own car and drove home. He showered. He went to bed. He woke up the next morning and went to work like nothing happened. Leo finally found his voice. He asked, "Are you telling me you killed someone and never got caught?" Marcus nodded slowly. He said the case went cold. He had followed it in the news for months. The victim was a 30-year-old father of two named Derek Shaw. Derek had been at the bar that night, celebrating a promotion. He left behind a wife and two little girls. The police had no suspects, no leads. The case eventually faded from the headlines. Marcus said he had lived with the guilt every single day. He said it ate at him from the inside. He said he had become a different person, a better person, because of it. He had quit drinking. He had found God. He had built a family. But the secret was always there, lurking in the back of his mind. Leo was in complete shock. He didn't know what to do. The cameras were still rolling. The microphones were still hot. Every word Marcus said was being recorded. Leo thought about stopping the recording. He thought about calling the police. But a part of him, the journalist part, needed to know more. He kept asking questions, and Marcus kept answering. Then came the moment that shattered everything. Leo asked Marcus if he had ever tried to contact Derek's family, if he had ever considered turning himself in. Marcus sat silently for a long 10 seconds. Then he leaned forward and said, "I've thought about it, but I can't, because it wasn't just one." Leo's heart stopped. He asked Marcus to repeat himself. Marcus said, "Derek was not the only one. There was another, a woman, 2 years earlier, in a different city." Leo felt the room spinning. He realized he was not interviewing a man burdened by a single moment of violence. He was sitting across from a serial killer. Marcus described the second murder in the same flat, emotionless tone. A young woman named Elena Marquez, 24 years old, a graduate student at the University of Cincinnati. She had gone missing in 2007. Her body was found in a shallow grave near a hiking trail 3 months later. The case had never been solved until now. Marcus admitted to following her home from a coffee shop. He admitted to forcing his way into her apartment. He admitted to strangling her and dumping her body like trash. He said he felt powerful in those moments. He said the feeling was addictive, but then the guilt would crash down on him like a wave. He said he had buried those memories deep, deep down, but they always came back. Leo finally broke his silence. He asked Marcus why. Why confess now? Why on a podcast? Why on camera? Marcus looked at the lens one more time and said, "Because I'm dying. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave me 6 months to live. I wanted to go on record. I wanted their families to know what happened. I wanted to clear my conscience before I face whatever comes next." The confession was not an act of bravery. It was a desperate, selfish attempt at peace. The podcast episode was never supposed to air. Leo immediately contacted the authorities after Marcus left the studio. He handed over the raw footage. Within hours, Marcus Dunn was arrested at his home. His wife and children watched in horror as police led him away in handcuffs. The news exploded. The clip of Marcus confessing went viral. Millions of people watched a dying man admit to unspeakable crimes in a calm, measured voice. The families of Derek Shaw and Elena Marquez finally got the answers they had been waiting over a decade for. But those answers came with a new kind of pain, the knowledge that the man who destroyed their lives had been living freely among them the entire time, going to barbecues, coaching soccer, sleeping peacefully in his bed. The case of Marcus Dunn changed the true crime landscape forever. It raised unsettling questions. How many people walk among us with secrets like these? How well do we really know our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends? Are there more podcasts out there with confessions waiting to be discovered? The answer is almost certainly yes. Because Marcus Dunn is not the only one. He is just the only one who got caught on camera. What would you do if you were sitting in Leo's chair? Would you keep the cameras rolling? Would you ask more questions? Or would you run? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to see the actual footage from that night, the full breakdown of Marcus Dunn's confession and the police interrogation that followed, it is available right now for members of this channel. Hit that join button and you can watch it immediately. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe with notifications turned on. That little bell is the only way to make sure you never miss a story like this, because I promise you, the next one is even darker.